Yeah, I'll play Seth's part. All right. Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah. I don't do it quite as well as Seth, but there we are.
Yeah, you did go. You did well.
That was good. That was great. Yeah. Can you hear that, Bill? You like it? Yeah. Oh, you can't.
Oh, you can't hear it.
I can hear it.
Yeah. The listening audience can. Welcome to the Legacy Podcast. We're back and better than ever. And we've got a little different lineup for us today. We've got Sarah Stock is in with us today. Say hi, Sarah.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Sarah.
I have been
What?
taken
What?
from my desk.
You have
to-
been asked to fill in a vital role here today. So,
I have.
Meryl and Seth are both out today for our episode, but Sarah is here with us today, and we got a special guest with us. His name is Bill Newton. Say hi, Bill.
Hey, everybody.
Bill is a youth ministry extraordinaire. He was probably the youth minister over the greatest youth group to have ever been, I would say. And since Sarah and I are, the youth ministry team here, if you don't know Sarah, Sarah's our ministry coordinator for the student ministry. We thought it would be good for the two of us to pick Bill's brain and get some ideas about, some of the greatest things about that particular youth ministry, some of the greatest people in that particular youth ministry.
Oh no, here we go.
All of that stuff. If you can't tell by now, Bill was my youth pastor back in the day, back at Lone Oak, Arkansas, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Can you, Bill?
What?
This is a dangerous question that I literally just thought of. We've had like weeks to prepare this, and I haven't thought of any real serious questions. What was your first impression of me coming into the youth group? Sixth grade. I was a sixth grader when you.
No, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay.
I think my first impression was, I don't know what dosage of medication he's on, but he needs to up that pretty quick.
Well, funny story. They did. And I've never been the same since. But okay. Yeah, that checks out. I think everybody that knows me will, that's your verification that you were indeed the guy back in the day. Yeah. Youth ministry. So I'm gonna read something real quick. Just got a brief little bio of Bill. So we kind of
here we go.
can know who he is. Bill, I know him as Brother Bill.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay. So Sarah, like, do you pastors when you were growing up, did they have like a surname or like brother or reverend or
Pastor?
Yeah. It was like Pastor blank,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I think most people do. We at Lone Oak, it was Brother. It was Brother Bill, Brother Jimmy, Brother Danny.
Yeah, I've never heard
Is
that
that
before.
weird?
Yeah.
It is weird.
Well, here's what I've discovered, actually. That is, I think, a culture thing, because when we were at Lone Oak, I was at Lone Oak with you, and we were there. I was there for a little over 8 years, and everything was Brother Bill, Brother Jimmy, Brother Danny. And I went to the next church that God opened the door to, First Baptist Hot Springs.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a weird adjustment because everybody there just addressed the staff by their first name.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit of a whiplash because I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And then, so that's when I realized pretty quick. And now working for the Arkansas Baptist State Convention, traveling the state and even other states, I've noticed that some churches first name, some it's brother, some it's pastor. And so I think it's more of a culture thing than anything else.
I've not run into any more brothers. Like,
This is the first time
I've
heard
heard
it.
pastor and I've heard the first name thing, but never brother. So anyway, Brother Bill Newton served in student ministry in the local church for over 25 years. Currently serves at the Next Gen and Discipleship Strategist. Sorry, I can't read.
Wow, are you okay?
Wow, yeah. He never taught me to read. That was the problem. A student ministry in the local church for over 25 years. He currently serves at the Next Gen and Discipleship Strategist for the Arkansas Baptist State Convention. He recently completed his doctorate through Truett Seminary at Baylor. He's passionate about apologetics, movies in particular. Like, I know which ones. Like there's a Batman shirt underneath that hoodie, isn't there? Right?
I cannot show you that.
Okay.
Yes, probably.
Apologetics, movies, and all things nerdy. Feel free to ask him about Batman or his Lego collection. Look at that.
Oh, love Legos.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Y'all do.
I love
forgot
Legos.
about that. Bill and his wife Renetta have been married for 28 years. They have 2 biological children, Corin, 24, and Josiah, 19. He also serves as foster parents. Feel free to, ask any questions you have based on that. Sarah, what do you think? Bill?
Legos.
Yeah?
I mean,
Legos?
I don't think that's what we're here to talk about today.
Probably not, but we could.
I mean,
Dude, his office is epic.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
legit. I'll have to show you some pictures when I'm there in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have some
So-
Legos, but I could use more if my boss ever wanted to.
Sarah is into like the decorative Legos, like the flowers and she's
Oh,
got
yeah.
a big poster above her desk that's like a galaxy, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
But I
Yeah.
also have others at home.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Legos are therapeutic.
Oh, I agree. Until you step on one.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you step
I
on
have
one.
stepped on one before.
I have Legos, but my kids come in the office a lot, and my Legos continually get broken, so I have to keep the really nice ones up high.
Yeah.
And one day they'll appreciate what they see, but they don't yet. Yeah. So, all right. Well, Bill, we're really excited to have you here. We are doing this
Yeah, man.
podcast in part because Legacy Weekend is coming up. I think when this episode drops, Legacy Weekend will be this weekend, right? Yeah. So this
Cool.
weekend, Legacy Weekend, Bill will be here in person, in the flesh. And he will be kind of talking to us about what it means to leave a legacy, to be intentional about discipleship as families and with young kids and with older kids. Sarah, your kids are in high school, right?
Yeah.
Middle school and high school.
Yep.
My kids are still
Little ones.
little, right? So I feel like I've got a lot to get to. They got a lot coming. But whether your kids are young or old, they began as babies,
Yeah.
right?
Little cute babies.
Yeah. Who is cuter, Jude or Cambria?
Oh,
You don't have to answer that, but you should, right?
I mean, they're both cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You're not going to answer that.
I'm not
right?
going to answer that
Yeah,
question.
Bill, which one are your two were cuter? Huh?
I have a boy and a girl, so they were each cute in their own way.
there we go.
See, me too.
Yeah,
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Do you do the? I feel like I couldn't tell. Like when people before I had kids, I couldn't tell that babies looked like their parents. But now that I've had kids, I can see it. Like I can see babies. I'm like, oh yeah, that looks like you.
Yep.
Oh, Jude was identical to Ryan.
To Ryan?
Immediately.
Yeah.
They were like, "Are you
Yeah.
sure he's yours?" And I'm like, "Pff, yeah."
There are still times I see him now where I'm like, dude, that's just like your dad.
Yeah,
he,
yeah.
he resembles his dad a lot. Yeah. I've got three: Kaylee, Porter, and Raleigh. And Kaylee looks like me. Porter looks like kind of favored Hallie more than Kaylee, but then Raleigh is really like Hallie's twin, I think. And anyway, it's a whole weird thing. I remember when I had kids, Bill, it was the thing that tripped me out the most about the second one is the second one not only looked like us, but it looked like the first one. That's bizarre. Yeah. And then they just let you go with them. Anyway, I'm just rambling about kids. Bill, we want to ask you, you've had so many years of experience in ministry and at several levels of ministry. You were the children's and youth pastor at Lone Oak. Isn't that right? You did
Yeah.
both.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I did both at Lone Oak K through 12, man.
We did Awana.
Focused mostly on youth. I did some stuff with kids, but a majority of my time was spent with youth there.
Yes, yes. Well, we were the ones that deserved the majority of your time. You needed the most help. And so you've been in every level in the discipleship journey with parents as a parent. Today, we really want to ask the question: what advice would you give first-time parents about raising kids and the way they should go, so to speak? Right? What's been your nuggets of wisdom? What have been the things that you found have been the most helpful throughout the years?
Yeah, so I think big picture wise, one of the things that I encourage parents to do is, listen, I'll be honest, this probably sounds really weird when you're holding a 6-week-old or holding a 6-month-old, but for those who are parents, man, the time flies and goes fast. And so one of the things, and the other thing is there really becomes a point where even though you've got them for 18 years, there comes a point where you begin letting go about age 9, 10, 11, and especially the teenage years. And so really early on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
That's hard.
because for me, when Corinne was born, I remember when she turned 9, it just kind of hit me. I was like, holy cow, like she's only 9, but my time with her in the home is halfway over.
Oh,
I was aware of this. Yeah. And
I got an 8-year-old,
honestly,
bro.
I know.
I have 3
I kinda had
years
this-
with Jude.
Oh no. Sorry, go ahead. My bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah. Again, it's that reality. You're thinking, oh, they're single digits, 9 years old. 18 is so far away.
Wow.
But the truth is, once they hit middle school and especially high school, all the dynamics just change. And so those first years are super important for lots of reasons, not just developmentally and spiritually, but also just for that relational side of things. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I would encourage parents to do, every year we'd have a parent-child dedication, what a lot of churches call baby dedication.
Yeah.
One of the things that I began
that.
requiring was a just a 1 hour class before they did that for a couple of reasons. One, we wanted to make sure that parents understood that baby dedication, parent-child dedication wasn't just about the photo op,
Yeah.
that there was an actual commitment. There was a vow that was being made, and we want to be sure they understood
And
that.
by the way,
But
the
secondly,
photo op is not that great sometimes because the kid's up there and the pastor's talking and he's, the
that's
baby's
fact.
like wearing a nice dress that's not built for comfort.
They're
And
usually crying
yeah,
and not
yeah,
happy. Yeah.
Yes,
that's true. And you got
yes.
a little
And
sibling
I love,
kid that's making trouble. Yeah.
yeah, but I love the realness of that. That's
Yeah,
really cool.
that is true. Yeah.
And so the other thing was, to me, that was a prime time to reorient people to this new being person that they have been entrusted with, and to help them figure out what that might look like.
Yeah.
So I would have a couple things that I would do with them. One of those would be, and never fail, there was always a mom or two who ended up tearing up and crying as we walked through this, because the reality would just kind of hit. But one of the things I would tell them is, when you look at scripture, when Solomon became king,
Yeah. Okay.
God made an offer to Solomon. What was that offer that God made to Solomon? Bible trivia with Bill.
When he became king, it was
Yeah.
the three that you can have three things, right? One of the three. Pick one. Like
Not,
I'll give you.
not
I'll give
three,
you.
just one.
I'll give you anything you ask.
Just one.
Yeah.
Just one.
What was
Yeah.
it?
He said, "Tell me,
What?
tell me one thing that you want, and I will do that." And he asked for wisdom.
Right. He did.
And
And I think he
God,
could have asked for riches or could have asked for this, but he asked for wisdom. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
And so I tell parents, look, your kid is going to walk across the stage in 18 years and graduate high school and launch out on their own, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's military, workforce, college, whatever. If God were to pull a Solomon on you, as I call it,
Ooh.
and come to you and say, "Hey, this child that you hold in your hand, if you would allow me to develop, ask me to develop any 2 or 3 characteristics within them over those 18 years,
Yeah.
what would you want that to be?"
Wow.
And
That's
I
a
would
great
bring that
question.
to fruition. And so that is really helpful for a couple reasons. One, I think it helps.
Uh-oh. I think we lost Bill. I think we lost Bill for a little bit. We'll work on trying to get him back. But I like that question that he just posed.
Yeah.
Like if you had a Solomon moment, like wind back to when the kids are young, what would you ask for? I mean, I think it's like one thing. That's the tough thing. It's like just one. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what's the main
Oh.
thing? I bet he's going to answer that as soon as he gets back on, But what would you think? What do you think?
I don't know. There's so many things, especially knowing them now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like there's so many things that I would want for them now, knowing them
Yes.
and knowing like the areas that they need help in and that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be easier to answer when they're babies.
Right. Yeah. Well, and there we go. We back?
Hey, all right,
There we go.
we're back.
We were just talking, Bill, about how, like, I think that question is really easy. Like, it's better asked when they're babies, right,
Yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah. I think it's harder now that they're older and
Yeah.
I
Yes.
know the things that they need.
Yeah. Well, and when you have your first one, you don't know what to ask for. You don't know, like I still am struggling trying to figure out what parts of my kids' personalities did I give them biologically, and which ones have I taught them,
Oh yeah.
and which ones are like good and bad on both sides,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like, there we go, and we're back. Did you pause the recording? No. All right, so we're just gonna keep rolling with it right there. So we caught you. We lost you last you left us hanging with if you could have a Solomon moment, what's the one thing you would ask for? And we don't know yet.
All right, all right. Hey, do I need to? Can y'all see me? I can't see you at all. But does that
Oh.
matter?
Oh yeah.
No, we see you.
We see
You're
you.
good. You're good. Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. As long as I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so that Solomon moment where, if God were to come in and say, "Hey, I will grant you any 2 or 3 things for your kids," what would you like for that to be? And that can be a little bit weird if this
Right.
is your first kid and not really kind of know. But I still think that's okay. I think to
Yeah.
have those 3 things, and they don't all have to be spiritual things, is what I tell parents. So,
Oh.
for example, the three things that I wanted for my kids, because I did this
Yeah.
with when
Wait,
Corinne
wait.
was born.
There's three things. That helps. Three
Yeah.
things. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. Three
Yeah,
things. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Again, there's no. It could be two, it could be three, it could be
Okay.
four. But here's the thing to be careful of: you don't want to have too many, and I'll
Right.
explain why in just a minute.
Okay.
But three is kind of a good round number. So for me, here's the three things I wanted for my kids that I hoped would develop in them. First of all, obviously, want them to be passionate followers of Jesus, right?
Amen. Yeah.
To have had to have a strong spiritual bent. That was one.
Right.
The second one was I wanted our kids to be servants.
Cool.
I think we live in such an individualized, self-centered society that it helps to get outside of yourself. And
Yeah.
I am really truly convinced if you want to be like Jesus, you serve. Because
Amen.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus said in Mark, Jesus said in Mark 10:45, the whole reason he came, the Son of Man.
Not to be served, but to serve. Yeah. And to give himself a ransom for many. Froze again. We're having more technical issues. he's got such good stuff.
I
We
know.
just keep losing him. I think he can hear us. So we're just gonna. Josh is gonna work his magic over there on the computer.
All right.
But so three things, Sarah. What would you ask for?
I mean, man,
They'll be passionate
I feel
followers
like
of Jesus.
he's got it with
Be
first
servant.
two. I'm sure his third one is just as great.
Yeah.
You know, like anything I say right now is not going to be as good as his third one.
Well, I imagine I know.
Recording in progress.
I know. There we go. I think we're back. Go ahead, Bill.
Did you get all that?
No, we
got the first
We got
two.
the first two.
Oh, okay. Tell me where I need to pick back up.
You said you want your kids to be servants. You want first passionate followers of Jesus. Second to be servants because
Okay.
we live in such a self-centered, shallow world. And then that's when we lost
Okay.
you.
Okay. And that service thing, I mean, again, to be like Jesus, Jesus said in Mark 10:45, he came to serve, not to be served,
Right.
right? To give his life as a ransom for many.
Yeah.
So I think to be a servant is to be Jesus like. The third one doesn't really have a spiritual aspect to it. And it's one that would not be on my wife's list, which is okay. That's
Oh,
one of the
okay.
ways that
Yeah.
we're wired different.
Yeah.
But number three for me was to have a sense of humor.
That's
think-
good.
It's great to be able to laugh. Life is
Yes.
hard enough, man. Laughter is a gift. It evokes
is.
joy.
Yeah.
And I think just to be able to laugh. And so now, even at the age my kids are at, 19 and 24, when I'm around them, I will still from time to time just do stupid stuff to try to make them laugh. So, but again, that's a personal value. I value sense
Yeah.
of humor, but I think laughter is really, really good.
What do you think
So-
Renetta's would have been?
Here's, I think she probably would agree with those first two. I don't know,
Yeah.
honestly, what her third one would have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. Honestly, that was more of an exercise that worked for me, just kind of
Yeah.
in my thinking.
I get it. I get
It wouldn't have been sense of humor, I'll be honest.
it.
Sometimes I wonder how she puts up with me and my sense of humor.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's just.
I'll speak.
I was thinking, I
I'll-
bet Hallie feels that
Yeah,
way.
well, I'm sure. But I will say, growing up with you guys, and I was at your house a lot growing up. You and Renetta
Yes,
have
yep.
a cool relationship where you. I don't know if it's your individual makeup together, but like I've never seen you guys fight or in any way be like you just chill. You just get patient with one another in a way that is uncommon. It's really cool. So anyway, that's you got that for free, bro.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Yeah.
we rarely have a fight, and part of that is just that's my personality. Like I'm not a conflict person. I don't shy away from it, but I don't seek it out. I'm a peacemaker, those
Yeah.
types of things. So
It's got to really be
and-
bad for you to get your feathers ruffled. Yeah.
yes, and she's kind of the same way as well.
Yeah.
So
Yes, she
here's
is.
why I think that top three is really, really important. This is what I tell parents. Again, I don't know that there's a right answer to the top three. Nothing
Right.
magical. Three is just helpful. But the illustration I always use is this: everybody is going to be vying for your time
Yeah.
as your kids get older, especially school, sports, the church.
Yeah.
I mean, there are lots of things that are going to be vying for your time. It's the old illustration, if you've ever seen this, of you have an empty glass jar, and
Yeah.
you have a pile of big rocks, and you have a pile of small
Yep,
rocks, and you have
yep.
pebbles, and you have sand, right?
Yeah. It's
If you want to
classic.
cram as much in there as you can, where do you begin? You begin with the big
The
rocks.
sand.
So
Oh,
you
wait.
put your
I'm just kidding. I'm just
well,
kidding.
well, you start with the big rocks because you want to get those in there, right?
Right.
And then once you get as many big rocks in there as you can, then you put the smaller rocks in there, and
Yeah.
then you put the pebbles in there, and then you put the water, and then you put the sand, and then you put the water to get as much as you can.
And it
So
all
I have a
fits if
pile
you
of
do it in
each
the
of
right
those.
order. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
but the goal is to get as many big rocks in there as you can and
Right.
then fill it with the rest, right?
Yeah.
And so you want to start with those big rocks. So it doesn't really matter how many pebbles, how much sand, how much water. The goal is to get the big rocks in there. In parenting, these are your big rocks. These are the things, listen,
Mm.
as a family,
Yeah.
if we accomplish nothing else with our kids, this is what we want to accomplish.
Right.
So this is where our focus is. This is our target. This is our bullseye.
Yeah.
Anything that comes outside of that, any of those small rocks, pebbles, sand, water, if we can fit them in the jar, man, that's fine.
Well,
But
and
if we don't fit them in the jar, that's okay because we got our big rocks in.
yeah, and
We are doing what we want to do.
I can see how like that framework helps make a lot of decisions for you, because it's yes,
Absolutely.
like we want to be involved in this? Well, does that help us accomplish the big rock or not? Is that a big rock, second rock, or sand? You know what I'm saying? And like if we can,
Yeah.
great. But these are must. So like if I want my kid to be a passionate follower of Jesus, I want him to be around Jesus people. I want him to love the church, not just be drugged to church, obviously, but to enjoy it and to love it and to get things from it and to be a participant in it. And so like those commitments mean you can't commit to other things, right? So that makes sense.
That's correct.
I love that idea of having a framework that helps you make, because we make so many decisions a day. Like it's so much and it can be tiring. I mean, having a framework like that can help navigate long-term, short-term decision-making really effectively. Yeah, cool. All right.
And really needed for young families because when you add a kid in and you have all of your other stuff in life, like priorities can easily shift around.
I remember when we had our first few kids, and Josh, you're in this world now with Luca. Like it felt like, oh my gosh, my life is so busy now, and now my daughter is doing dance, and my sons play soccer, and your kids are starting to do a lot of activities with their high school and middle school. Yeah, it's only going to get worse, and I didn't think it could get any worse.
But it's such a short time too.
Yeah,
like. I mean, we have just these precious years with them and and then they're gone. So I think about how busy I am right now. Yeah. And I'm like, but they're going to be out of the house in how many years? And then what am I going to do?
Well, they don't have to be out of the house. You could keep them there. And just,
No, maybe for a couple years.
No,
beginning of college.
Launch.
Hey, community college, if they want to stay home to save some money during that, then go.
Okay.
But yes, they do eventually have to go.
That's okay because you're still in that preparation launch stage. Listen, we told our kids from the time they were like 2 or 3 years old, we love you. We're going to pour into you. We are not raising you to live in our basement. We are raising you
no.
Like you're on. Like God has better plans for you, and it's not my basement.
There it is.
Definitely.
There it is. Okay, cool. All right. So, what else, Bill? Go ahead.
Well, so again, I think when you guys mentioned it, but one of the reasons that's helpful is it's a filter. So anytime something comes across your pathway, you can say, okay, we can do this, but we can do this until it interferes with one of our big rocks, right? Yeah. So we can be committed to this, but these are the things that frame our family. So really two important things.
We lost him again.
Josh is on it.
We should have just like had discussion notes prepared for individual ones. I think one of the things that I would say if this were me is like one thing we haven't done exactly this, but one of the things that our family we say over and over to our kids, like when I drop Kaylee off at school and whenever we go into new things, is we want our kids to love people well. Yeah. And I think that's a core value for us is like being active in loving people well as a skill and
recording
in
value, progress,
not just as like an accidental happenstance to things. And the second we kind of fell into, we went to Big Bend with the family, and Porter really struggled. He was hiking was not his jam. And so we taught him to say, hard things make us strong. I don't know if that's a big rock. That might be like a secondary rock. Yeah. But that's a good little like phrase that we've kind of fallen into here as a family ourselves. Did the meeting end? There we go. It did? Oh.
Recording in progress.
All right.
Bill,
yes, you are.
I promise we have our act together. It doesn't seem like it right now, but my bad.
There's a Josh in the corner. Oh.
There we go. Is it the connection? His? Okay. Either way. Oh, I see it right there. Yeah.
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah, he looks very
does.
happy right now.
He's paused. You look so happy, but your Wi-Fi is terrible. He's probably in a room at OBU and sharing the bandwidth with 100 students. That's probably it.
So you said that he
Recording in progress.
he says that humor is a big deal.
Yeah.
Did you
All right,
learn
we're
any
there.
of that from him?
I don't know. I think I learned some humor from Bill. Bill has the sense of humor is very. He's not like gonna get up and perform a song and dance, but he's very funny in his thinking about things. And
Okay.
yeah. Bill and Bill and is the nerd, like he said, like a huge nerd.
Yeah.
Like loves Batman, like all.
You're
the
a nerd
Marvel
too,
stuff.
just a different flavor.
I think I got that from him.
Okay.
I think I went and saw.
Recording in
I don't know if he
progress.
I think I went and saw one of the.
Hey, there we are.
Bill, did you and I see the prequel series together? I think I saw the first, like the Phantom Menace with you, but I might be wrong. I can't remember.
No, it would have been the Phantom Menace. It might have been Sith, which came out in 05, because I didn't come to Lono till 01.
Oh, okay. Maybe it was Attack of the Clones then. I have this memory.
No, Phantom Menace came out in 99, and I saw Attack of the Clones with Renetta in 02.
Okay,
so it would have had to been Sith in 05.
Yeah, I think I have this memory of us going to Cabot to see a movie together and it being cool. Bill's a big music junkie too. You don't know this about Bill, but Bill ran a radio show called Olive Grove, and that is probably one of the most foundational things because every Saturday he'd pick me up and I'd go with him. And he would do like a little radio thing. He'd play CDs and then do some little fun stuff. And I'd get on the radio every once in a while, me and a few people.
So wait. Yeah. He wanted to spend his Saturdays with you?
He wanted to spend his Saturdays doing this radio show, but because he's a good youth pastor, he brought students along with him. Oh. And so me and a few others would come with him, and we'd always go get food at because it was 9 to 11. So we'd get back at like midnight, and I remember one time we went through the Sonic drive-through backwards. You remember that? And,
I do remember that.
Great.
The lady at the window was like looking at me funny, and I was just like, it was the most bizarre thing. I've thought about doing that again, but now there's all these memes and videos of people like throwing ice cream back in there. I don't want people to think that I'm gonna be doing something rude. So, yeah, that was fun. Yeah, I remember Bill used to take us. We went to Super Summer every summer, and then we would do a mission trip or mission camp, Mission Fuge, and some other different. We went to one called Power Plant one year. That was really cool, where we worked with church planners and different things in Nashville.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Bill, this is how good a youth pastor is. I'm not this good of a youth pastor. Bill did not know how to play guitar, but because we didn't have a worship player or worship leader, he learned how to play guitar and sang and led our worship band, right?
Well,
until we found somebody who was competent.
Yeah.
Well, to your credit, I would hope that you wouldn't do that because your singing is
not good.
It's just
not good at all.
It's just not.
Listen, mine's pretty bad too. I'll be honest with you, but it was better than a CD. I got tired of CDs. So
yeah, there we go. That was back in the day, man. We went from like meeting literally in a house to like a youth building and all that stuff. It blew up with Bill there. Yeah, those were the days.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, you remember that ski trip that never made?
Oh, do I remember? I still have nightmares about that.
It snowed like 11 feet or something like that. We never made it. Yeah, and there was all kinds of.
It was a 90-year blizzard. Things in Colorado shut down that hadn't shut down in 90 years. Literally.
Oh man.
They let out of school. Yeah, they let out of school. We talked to senior adults there in their 70s and 80s who said they never remember school shutting down any time in their life living in Colorado.
We never made it.
Shut down that week.
We never made it to our hotel. So we had to stay.
Never made it to the ski. Gone a week. Never made it to the slopes.
So we had to stay in like a little in a church a couple nights. I sleptwalk. I didn't know that I sleptwalk.
Do you still?
Outside into the blizzard.
And left the door open.
At about 3 a.m.
Yeah.
He gets up and walks out into the blizzard in shorts and a t-shirt.
Yep, I did. And then I think the other night I tried to go upstairs to where the girls were sleeping or something like that.
I'm not so sure you were sleeping then.
I don't remember it. But, and then we had to shovel our way into some chalets on the way home. We spent a couple of nights on the coach buses, vans. It was a trip, man. I had a lot of fun. It was great. Never skied.
Only time in 25 years of youth ministry that I yelled at a student was on that trip.
I think I
Was
remember
it
that.
at Daniel?
No. I was in 7th grade, and I didn't
Yeah,
have
no. It was not at Daniel.
Yeah. I don't know if I can say what he was yelling at on air for the public. But yeah, I remember that. That was, hey, Bill's mad. We should probably chill out, that sort of thing. But anyway, all right. Sorry, we've had a couple of audio and technical interruptions and stuff, so we're hoping we can get through this next one here. Go ahead, Bill. We were talking about the 3 things and how that forms a paradigm of decision making, and really like implementing like how you spend your time with your.
Did you hear me? Did it catch me talking about context, and intentionality?
No, I think that's where we should pick up right there. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we'll pick up there. So coming out of those kind of 3 things, those big rocks, whatever you want to call them, there's really 2 key things that are important. One is context. The other is intentionality.
Very cool.
So context is basically just the framework of which you make decisions. So if you think about something like a car or a house, what are your key questions? What can we afford? How long are we going to make payments?
Okay.
How long are we going to have it? Especially a house. Is this a starter house? Is this going to be a retirement? The house we hope to retire in. All those
Tiny
things are going to be your framework for the decision you're going to make about the car or the house you're going to buy, vacation, whatever it may be. Your budget is the framework for that.
Okay.
It's kind of the same when you come to your family. Here's kind of those key context questions that you want to ask. What do we want our family to be known for? Like, what do we want to be as a family? Because every family has an identity.
Ooh,
right?
Yeah. That could be fun.
When you realize it or not, every family has, when people hear your family name and think of your family, there's some type of picture that comes to mind.
Oh,
so
man.
What picture is it that you want to come to mind? What is it that you want to stand for as a family?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that now I'm starting to wonder what people think about my family. What's
Me too.
the thought that comes to mind? Yeah.
So that's one of those key context questions. How you navigate those 2 or 3 or 4 big rocks will help answer that, because that's what you'll become known for. That's the thing that people will say, hey, they will do this or they won't do this because this is what their family stands for. This is kind of their identity. Well, and then the other thing is, go ahead.
No, I can imagine people will know what decisions you'll make because their perception of your identity is strong enough to know, like, hey, they're not going to do that because they're going to go to church, or they're not going to do that because they're going to be involved in here, or they're going to serve. Yeah. I can call on them when I need to because they're always helpful, that sort of thing. Yeah. Cool.
And so another thing to consider is, as you talk through that, if you're married or if you're a single parent, talk through that with someone that you can help give you some pushback and help refine that.
Yeah.
But then on top of that, once you make those decisions, those are all honestly kind of philosophical things. This is the philosophy of our family. But you have to communicate that some way to your kids. And here's the reality of the situation. I think a lot of parents don't realize. You are communicating things to your kids, whether you realize you're communicating things to them or not.
I know that.
My mom told me a story. Yes, my mom told me a story a few years ago that I do not remember as a kid. All I ever remember, as far back as I can remember, is my mom taking us to church. At the time, my dad didn't go. He didn't even go when I was in high school. Thankfully, he's gotten involved since then.
That's awesome.
But mom took us Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. My brother and I, we went all the time. I never remember not
Arkansas.
going.
Yeah.
In England, Arkansas, First Baptist England.
Yeah.
So my mom told me the story about apparently I had a very, very good preschool teacher growing up in the church, like Sunday school teacher. And so one Sunday morning, I get up as a little, just as a little kid, a toddler, get up, very excited, preschooler, ready to go to church. It's raining, it's cold. Mom's like, we're not going to church today. And so I was like, okay. And I go to my room and I play with all my, get out all my Star Wars figures and my toys and just have a play day in my bedroom.
Yeah.
So she gets me up Monday morning. I grew up in a trailer, mobile home. My bedroom was on one end. My mom and dad's is on the other. She gets up on Monday morning, wakes me up, says, hey, here's your clothes. Get ready for school. She was going to work, take me to preschool. Dad was going to work. She goes back into her end of the trailer, gets ready, comes back to my room, and I'm not dressed. I'm sitting there playing with my toys still.
Yeah.
And she said, and my mom's really, really cool-headed, but she said she just lost it and went off on me. Like, what are you thinking? What are you doing? We're going to be late. And she said, I just looked up at her with just innocent eyes and said, well, it was cold and rainy yesterday and we couldn't go to church. Still cold and rainy today. Thought I wasn't going to preschool. right? And my mom said the Holy Spirit just whacked her over the head. It was at that point she was
Ouch.
realizing that she was teaching me, even though she didn't think she was teaching me anything, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so she said from that point on, she made the commitment, no matter what, Sunday morning, Sunday nights, Wednesday night, they were going to be there.
Wow.
And I see this happen with parents all the time,
Yeah.
when it comes to things like sports, when it comes to things like camp, when it comes to other spiritual things. Hey, we can do this as long as we don't have anything else
Right.
on the menu, right? You can sign up for summer camp as long as you don't have sports camp that week, as long as it doesn't interfere with ball practice. And I'm not trying to be legalistic about this at all. I
No,
know
but
there's
you're
a
right.
push and
Yeah.
pull between those two things, but you are subtly communicating to your kids when you say you cannot do this spiritual thing. I mean, I have sat in meetings where I have seen kids beg their parents to go on the mission trip, and the parent just looks and says, no, because we haven't got your ball schedule yet. You may have a game that weekend,
Ugh.
right? Even though you got games almost every weekend for 6 months, you can't miss this one weekend of games and go on this mission trip.
Yeah.
And that's communicating something to your kids, whether you realize you're communicating things to them or not. And so, I think it's okay to tell your kids as they get older, like, here's the decisions that we make. And there may be some things that you do as a parent your kid doesn't agree with, and they don't have to agree with it. You're the parent.
Yeah.
But when it's age appropriate, I think it's to help them understand, hey, here's the reason why we're making this particular decision as your parent.
Right.
Because these are our big rocks. These are the things that we value. And so that framework can be really, really important for that.
Well, and you and I have seen the other side of it, where you see the kid who made those decisions, or their parents who made those decisions, and then come, 2 years into college in a crisis because their son or daughter who's not playing that sport anymore, who's lost their identity in that sport, doesn't have a foundation to stand on, and they're floundering, and they're making decisions that are not good, but they're also predictable in that, like, if you don't have the crew you ran with, you don't have the schedule you were dependent on, now what are you going to do? You're going to do things that, teenagers and young men without fully developed frontal lobes do, and it's bad. And that's part of, I think, even beyond the spiritual side of it, balance of saying we're not going to let anything dictate who we want to be. We are going to decide that for ourselves. I think that's really valuable about what you're saying, Bill, is saying, school, these outside forces don't get deference to what we do. What we've decided is going to be who we are, and what the Lord has called us to be is what. Yeah, that's really cool. I hadn't thought of it quite like that. I'm glad you said that. That's one of the frustrating things in ministry sometimes is seeing that happening and not feeling like you have any way to say what you've said of, like, hey, this is what's happening. Yeah. That's cool.
And like for us, one of the things as my kids got older and began looking for jobs, one of the things that we told them was, when you go into interview, tell them, hey, listen, I'm going to be a hard worker for you, but I don't work Sunday mornings.
I remember this.
And I don't work Wednesday nights because I have student ministry. If you want me to come in at 12:15 on Sunday, I'll come in at 12:15.
Right.
But we're in church till 11:30, 11:45, and I will be here as soon as church gets out. I will come straight from church.
Yeah.
But these are and that worked out pretty good for them. Was there any jobs they didn't get because they said that? I don't know.
Right.
But like for our son Josiah, when he got a busing job a couple of years ago, was applying and interviewing. That's one of the things we told him was, tell him you don't work Wednesday nights because you go from school to home to do homework and then church, because that's a value for us.
Yeah.
And Sunday mornings, you can work Sundays, but not Sunday mornings until service is over. Like, that's a non-negotiable for you. Like, whether or not you agree with that, we don't care. That's what we want you to say in the, that's what we want you to say in the interviews, because this is what we do as a family. Right? We do Wednesday nights and we do Sunday mornings together. And so, the sports thing is the thing that comes up a lot because of that tug and push and pull in youth ministry. But it applies to a lot of different areas. Even when I was in college, I did the same thing when I interviewed for jobs. I was like, Sunday morning I go to church. Wednesday nights I'm helping out with some stuff. But bro, any other time I will be the hardest worker you've got. I promise. But if you can work with me on these two things, I'm there.
You told me that years ago, and I did that. And I remember the first time I was working at a movie gallery. You remember what those are, Sarah?
Do I remember what they are? I'm older than you.
I know, but I'm saying like can we collectively remember them? That was so long ago. Like before Redbox took over everything, it was a Blockbuster style movie store. And you told me that exact thing, like, tell them I'm not going to work these days. And one time they called me on like a Tuesday and it's like, hey, can you come in tomorrow? We're in a pinch. And I told them, no, I don't work Tuesdays. And I told you about that. And your comment to me was, if you'd given in on that moment
Yeah.
they would have asked you for every other, like they knew you weren't really standing on that commitment.
Yep.
But if you hold firm once, they'll respect you for it. And you're right. If you work hard, they're going to use you. It's just, make boundaries. That's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. I like that.
But let me counteract that. I think it is important. Yes, you want to be careful not to get into a slippery slope, but I think it's also important to realize you don't want to be super legalistic. So even though like a job I had in college, Sundays and Wednesdays, I was the head of that particular job at this place where I worked. And they had the president of the company coming in on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
And they called and said, we want our best workers here, obviously, because the president's coming in. Yeah. Would you work Wednesday night? I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely.
That's
fine.
In a ditch. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you want the people there that you trust the most. I get it. Like, I'm not super legalist about it. It's fine. So again, I think you have to be careful not to be super legalistic, but I think it's also kind of like you said to say, hey, I can make an exception here, but this is not going to be the norm. Like if you get in a pinch next Wednesday night, probably not going to come in, but I'll be happy to come in and help you this week. Like I'm a team player, but I'm not compromising my big rocks as a whole for the team, if that makes sense.
Context and intentionality. That's really good.
Yeah, context is good. So intentionality is the second one. Here's a couple things on intentionality. There are really three things I think that students need or that kids need from their parents. And I'll be honest with you, this is caught straight from the business world. If any organization that's really, really good, these are three things that the people in leadership and that organization are going to do. This is, you can think of your family like an organization. I think that's not terrible.
Right,
so three things. One is you need strong leadership in that organization. Kids need strong leadership from their parents. Listen, you are the parent. Your job is not to be their friend. Your job is not to be their friend.
This is you talking to new parents that are fresh out the hospital. Yes, you are the parents.
Yes. My job is to be the protector of my kids, not the friends of my kids.
Yes.
But my daughter, who's 24 now, we're really good friends, right? In some ways, I still kind of have some of those guidelines where we try to protect her and help her to be world wise. But the way we interact at 24 is way different than 14 and certainly way different than 4, right? She and I are really, really good friends. We have similar sense of humor. We have similar likes. but when she's 14, when she's 14, I ain't looking for her to be my friend. I hope we get along. I would love for us to be friends. But if it comes to being a friend or being a parent, bro, my job from God is to be her parent.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like that's my thing.
I think there's a lot of people our generation that had parents that had that mentality, and we realize like my generation now is like, that wasn't the way, because that was bad.
There's lots of reasons for that. We could get into that.
Right.
But that's the big thing is kids need leadership. They need parents sometimes to tell them no.
Yes.
When they want to hear yes. A second thing is planning. Right. Those top three things don't just happen. You have got to plan those things out. There are great things just don't happen by accident. So you've got to plan out. Like I would plan out ways to spiritually pour into our kids. I would plan out ways to do service. And, I would find ways even off the cuff just to do humor. That planning really goes into the third one. And that is that strategy and implementation. You have to be super strategitic. It's not just going to happen. One example.
We say over and over, like discipleship doesn't happen by accident. It happens on purpose. Yeah. You're just talking about that for the family.
So like on the service thing, one of the things I taught Josiah growing up was, hey, open doors for people, right? Going into restaurants, going into, Walmart, whatever, some places that have automatic doors. It got to the point with him where he would, as a kid, would sometimes almost literally knock people over walking down the sidewalk trying to get to the door so he could hold it open for them. I was like, okay, time out. You got the right heart, but let's talk about the execution a little bit.
There we go.
With one of the things that I did with Corinne to teach her to be a servant, Renetta was a stay-at-home mom with her. That was one of our values is we wanted her to be able to stay at home with our kids till at least they got school age. But that made things tight. Smaller church, first youth ministry job, didn't make a whole lot of money. And so Renetta, I had a side job. Renetta picked up a part-time job as well. And so she, the community center, which opened in Lone Oak while we were there, she lifeguarded there Tuesday nights, Thursday nights, and during the days on Saturdays.
Yeah.
And so it would just be me and Corinne on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And for a good handful of those nights, I don't know, just once or twice a month, Corinne and I would have dinner together, like a little daddy-daughter date at the house. We'd have dinner together. And then I would take her down to the little Walmart where the Atwoods is now, but where the old Walmart was. I would take her down, and we would take a little trash bag, and we would just walk the parking lot and pick up trash. Just for 20 or 30 minutes.
I didn't know that.
Just teaching her to be a servant. And then as she got a little older, I would teach her how to go up to somebody. She would do this. She was probably 4 or 5, but I would be right there. But I would teach her to go up to somebody. We'd kind of stand off to the side, wait till somebody got done unloading their cart, groceries out of their trunk or in the back seat, and I would have her go up and just say, "Hey, can we return your cart for you?" And she would take the cart and return it back to the cart area. People leave carts everywhere. We pick up trash and return carts. And we just did that a couple of times a month, again, for 20 or 30 minutes. But it was just a way to kind of teach her to serve. No recognition, nobody got paid. And I would talk to her and say, hey, we just want to serve people. Like Jesus came to serve us. We just want to serve others. And we would go out and we would do that. And we did that for a couple of years. And so again, it doesn't have to be that, obviously, but just lots of ways to serve. Daniel, you may remember we used to do service projects as a youth group
all the time.
We would go down to Sonic and wash windshields.
Yeah.
We had some days during the summer where we loaded up in wagons, ice chests with Cokes and candy bars, and went from storefront to storefront, just offering people free Cokes and candy bars, and we say, "Hey, Jesus loves you, man."
And we weren't allowed to take money, and people would try to give us money, and we would have to say, "No, I'm not allowed to take your money." Yeah, and that was harder for some of us than others. But I remember that. Yeah.
And so, again, just looking for ways to serve. The beautiful thing about some of this is you don't have to create something new.
Right.
You can just look around, see what you're already doing, find ways to incorporate it in there.
Cool.
Yeah, I feel like I need to go back and do a redo with my children right now, because all of this advice is great, but I'm past that stage.
No. I think
I could have done so much more.
But I think part of what I like about it is it seems it's kind of you're just saying, hey, notice what we do naturally. Like we pick the big rocks. We've already done that. And who your kids are and how your family is a product of you doing this system, whether you knew it or not.
Yeah.
And what he's saying is be intentional on it. Like your family, one of the words I would say for y'all is servant hearted. Like you guys are up here all the time serving. Ryan is one of the best. Like just you say, hey, I would love for that to be different, and then you turn around twice and he's doing it, and he's doing it really, really well. Like, and Jude's picking up on that too. Like your kids are a reflection of you guys in a good way. So you're doing it. You just don't know you're doing it, right?
I need to be more intentional, maybe.
Yeah. It's like one of those when somebody asks you, hey, good job on that. You're like, I did that. yes, thank you. I'm really proud of that. That sort of stuff. Yeah. I remember you guys doing the cart thing. I remember I think seeing you at Walmart one time as a kid and being like, what's Bill doing? And then you were telling me that. It's so funny. That memory is so far down back there. I had forgotten about it. So you said that.
It was a few years ago. Yeah. It was a few years ago.
Yeah. You haven't lived if you haven't been at the old Walmart at Lone Oak. By the way.
That's not a Walmart anymore.
No, it's not.
So that's kind of the big picture advice that I give to new parents. Like you have to forward think because the time goes by so quick. Now, here's the challenge. The challenge is early on to have that in your mind.
Yeah.
But as time goes on, it gets more difficult to keep it in front of you because life begins to happen. So I didn't come up with this visual, but there's something that we would do for the parents in that class. And I'm just going to tell you, I have some parents who tell me that was one of the hardest things that they would do. But we would give every parent who came through that parent-child dedication class a glass quart-sized jar that had 942 marbles in it.
Why 942?
Because the estimates are from the week the child is born until the week they graduate high school is 942 weeks.
Wow.
So do you have to take them out?
The idea is every week set a timer, set an alarm on your phone, same time every week, and just go over and take one of those marbles out.
Ooh.
And it's a reminder that 1 week has passed. Now, here's the idea behind that. There's a couple things about that. One is it just helps us count the time because they go from 9 months to 9 years to 19 years and they're out, right? It goes that quick.
Yeah.
And so it's a reminder. But it's also meant to be a reminder that you don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
This is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
And if you had a bad week and you didn't get anything done spiritually with your kid, like reading the Bible, praying, bro, it's okay. There's still 900 marbles left.
Sometimes you're really excited to take that marble and move it. Sometimes you're really
those bad weeks.
Yeah. Some weeks you're like, if I take 2 out, will this kid hurry and be out of my way? Man, it was a rough week, right?
Yeah, there we go.
Because parenting is tough. But so it's not meant as a negative. It's meant to be a positive. it's meant to reinforce that time is finite. You only have so much time with your kid. It's a reminder of that. But in a way, really, it's a grace reminder. Hey, if you had a bad week, it's okay. There's still a lot of weeks in front of you.
Yeah.
But it kind of serves as a countdown clock. The guy that I got this from, one of the things he says is when you watch a ball game,
Right.
when you watch a basketball game, when it's early on in the first quarter, everybody's like, yay. But when does it really get intense? It really gets intense when there's 45 seconds left.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, a 1 point difference or it's a tie between the team, right? You can just feel the tension that's there. There's an urgency when you realize that there's only a certain amount of time. And it really can help keep you focused on the idea that our time is finite with our kids and we want to make the most of those. And so that has been really helpful and effective. It can be hard. I'll be honest, moms especially. I've had a couple of moms when I give them that jar in that class, knowing they've still got, the kid's only 6 weeks old and mom just busts into tears. It just kind of sets in that reality.
That's so sad. I don't even want to see what the jars would look like for my kids right now. There would be,
Yeah.
Maybe I should do that. Maybe
you should. Yeah, let's do it.
I'm afraid.
Yeah,
well, it's okay.
It's really helpful.
I think I would cry.
Give us a spirit of fear, but a victory in sound judgment. This is good. That's great. Yeah, I think that's really like a cool way to visualize like the time, because time is one of those things. It's the most important thing, but it's also the hardest to like really grasp and easiest to lose in a lot of ways. Yeah, that's cool.
It is. And again, it's really hard to imagine when you're holding a 6-month-old that 18 years is coming. But one of the things that I have experienced over the years is this reality will set in sometimes with parents, but not till the kid's 15 or 16 years old. And what I tell parents is, hey, they're 15. You got 3 years left. Do everything you can.
Right.
Make the most of the 3 years. This is our way of kind of trying to be proactive to help parents not have that freak out moment at 15 to feel like they have to cram everything in 3 years. You've got 18 years. You got 952 weeks or whatever it was. You've got tons of time.
Yeah.
You just need to use it intentionally and stretch it out like a marathon and not treat it like a sprint.
It is a lot of time, but it's not forever. So
You're right.
Do with what you can. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well,
again, I had that freak out moment when Corinne turned 9. I'm like, oh, she's 9. Oh, she's 9.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
We're halfway done, bro. We're halfway done.
That's crazy, man. I think, I think like I used to think, I say I've got an 8-year-old, but I don't think I've got an 8-year-old. You know what I'm saying? I still say that like she's 4, not realizing that there's you don't go back.
No.
It's a lot, man. Well, thank you, Bill, for being with us today. This has been, I think Sarah's got a lot of emotional work to do over here now. She's going to have to have a good cry. We're all going to go buy marbles, and we'll show off our little vases and stuff. 900 and how many? What was the number? 900 and what?
I think it's 952 is the average. One of the things I would tell parents is, you may have to kind of adjust a little bit one way or another, but it's not so much the number as it is just that weekly reminder. Again, not to create a panic, not to be morbid
or be legalistic.
But it is
I'm panicking already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But whether you count them or not, those weeks are ticking by, man. And so we want to be sure we have the opportunity to make the most.
I wonder how many families that you've counseled to do this have done it, and then somewhere along those weeks, one of the kids like threw a stray ball at the jar of marbles. And it's like, listen, sorry, you're going to have to move out now. You've spent all the marbles. You're done,
I actually did have a family. They had 3 jars.
Oh, wow.
And they had them up high on a shelf in a certain place. And the kids pulled over the shelf and it shattered the jars on the floor. And they said marbles went everywhere.
Glass everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Well, this sort of great advice and biblical wisdom is going to be here with us this weekend for Legacy Weekend.
Yeah.
So if you're listening to this drive, you're coming down. I'm excited to spend time with you and Renetta because we haven't spent more than like a couple of hours together in years, man. It's going to be great.
In a while.
Yeah. So Bill is just such a fantastic teacher and
thank you.
father and husband and all the different ways, and we're really excited about having him here with us to share with us about. He's going to be preaching on Sunday We gave you like the most exciting passage in the world, right? Like
Hey, listen. Nothing says exciting sermon on Sunday morning like a genealogy list. Let me just tell you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's great.
Don't miss that.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. No,
it'll be good.
It'll be good.
Right?
Well,
it's gonna be good. Actually, I have actually been working on the sermon because genealogies can be a bit of a challenge to preach. But one of the things I have learned is there's always something going on underneath the surface of those names. And so it really has been. I spent a couple of weeks trying to dig into and figure out what's going on under that list. I think I found it. So I am actually excited to preach it. So it may not sound that exciting, but there's some real great biblical truth there we'll dig into.
Nice.
The end of Genesis 4, beginning of and all of chapter 5, if you want to go get a sneak peek at what he's talking about there. Man, Bill, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for answering our questions.
Thanks for having me.
Dude, I'm excited. If you're listening to this and you have more questions about what life with the under-medicated Daniel was like, Bill will be here to answer all of your questions. And if you're a student and you'd like to come and get lots of ammunition for heckling me when I speak and stuff,
I think I need to be in Bill's breakout group. Just for that.
And Bill's going to teach a breakout on apologetics and worldview, right?
Nice.
So one of the foundational things that I remember most about your teaching, Bill, was you had a sermon, like a series, like a little presentation called "Ain't No Monkey," which was very Arkansas and very youth ministry in the early aughts. But and it was great. It was talked about like creation and evolution. How do we how do we think about these two things? Because they seem to be so at odds and opposed to each other. What's the coming at it from the biblical perspective first, rather than this place of, it was really, really cool. And so I'm excited for him to get to share some of those thoughts and others. And I know we've had a lot of our students and a lot of parents asking questions about while we've been doing this Genesis series. And so Bill's going to be here to kind of help give us some framework around that. So that'll be really cool. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'm excited, man. Let's
man.
go.
Well, with that, man, we'll be signing off. And check us out this weekend for Legacy Weekend. There's still time to sign up on our website. You can go to fairfieldbaptist.com, right? fairfieldbaptist.com/events. Find Legacy Weekend, sign up. Don't miss out. Bring your family. There's going to be childcare for kids of all ages. Merrill's got stuff. Your kids aren't just going to be like babysat. They're going to be taught some of the same things that we're going to be going over about what it means to be involved in discipleship, even as the youngest part of a family. We got stuff for students, for children, even if you're single or you're an empty nester. This is for you too, because we're all called to make disciples who make disciples. If you have a family, that's your primary place. But if you don't, that's okay too. Like there's people that God has put in your life for you to disciple and lead them to Him. And so we want to help be a part of that. Our mission as a church is to be disciples who make disciples by the word of God, for the glory of God, to impact the world. And that doesn't happen by accident. So Legacy Weekend is one of the ways that we really, really try to hone in on what that looks like. So be excited. Come hear more about Bill and hear what he's got to say. Come hear from Merrill and Seth. They'll be back with us next week on the podcast, so tune in. Like, subscribe, smash the button, all the stuff. Whatever.
Smash the button.
Smash the subscribe button. You're not on YouTube, are you?
Is that a thing? Smash?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Comment, share.
I'm old.
5-star review, Spotify, Apple Music, all that stuff. We'll yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, signing off. Let's go. Let's hit that sound of music. So,
thanks for having me, bro.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Thanks for being here.
Nice
we'll
to
see you
meet
soon. Yeah. All right.
Oh, we got music.
There
going.
we go. All right. I really miss Seth here, man. We need Seth to do that. See you later, Bill. Thanks.
Somebody's going to have fun. Somebody's going to have fun editing that.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a fun edit.